messages. I'm Jelaila Star. Today's topic is 2014 perspective and Nibiru update. Something I do pretty much every year, the perspective. And when I do, I usually tune into the 90 Nibiruans and ask them for their input as to what they see for the coming year. So before I begin, let me explain just a little bit about how that works, because there's a lot of new people on the weekly message readership, and you may not have read that part. So when the 90 Nibiruans, who are timeline travelers and timeline healers, give information about the future, they do what they call projecting out along the timelines, which means they look out into the future, and there's of course multiple timelines and multiple options, and what they're looking for is the timeline with the most energy around it. And that's from that they begin to figure out that, okay, we see that based on past experience and what is building in this area, this is pretty much the way it's going to go. And they can tell us a difference, a percentage of, how probable something is. They'll say this is a possibility or this is a probability. Something that's a probability is 90% or greater that something's going to happen. So hopefully that will give you an understanding of how they give us information. So for this coming year, what they're seeing are several things. And there's, it's very hard to explain a perspective without kind of breaking it down to where you can see how all the pieces fit. So I'm going to kind of run through some of these real quick. And I've got my little notes here on the computer so I can see. Anyway, first thing is they say, yes, you're now getting ready to birth that new reality. We've been talking about building a new reality, birthing a new reality for years and years. It seems like forever we've been doing this. But they said this is the year that you'll actually manifest it. So what they did was they kind of backed up and kind of gave us an overview. And what they were saying was, the years 1987 at harmonic convergence all the way through 2012 or 2011, you were clearing. And they, in particular, were doing timeline work using that clearing to help alter future events. And you can read all about that in Mission Remembered. So those years were spent clearing the way and putting in place little templates in specific locations on Earth that would, they knew, allow us to make different choices in future events along the timeline and help us create these dimensional grids. So there's a lot of grid work being done. And then in 2012, that was a critical year, they said, because that was when it was like a big final push to do as much clearing, to clean off as much as we could so that we raised our frequency. And as we raise our frequency, of course, the planet raises her frequency and vice versa. So it got us into position to where when we were ready to cross the galactic equator at the end of 2012 and begin a new cycle, we went clear of a lot of the old baggage. And they said whatever we brought forward, good, bad, and ugly, became our toolbox, because you always create your reality from inside. So whatever belief systems are in here, whatever behavior patterns, we've developed, whatever was functional we carried forward to create with, and whatever was dysfunctional that we didn't finish clearing, move forward too. So they said in 2013 we began building the foundation for this infrastructure. And during this time of 2013, we've seen a lot of things go away. For many of us on a personal level, we've seen houses go away, we've seen relationships go away, we've seen jobs go away, we've seen all kinds of things go away. And on a global level, we've seen whole structures, financial structures, just start to dismantle as new ones begin to build. New governments, countries that were at war starting to get along. That's like old paradigm shifts from war to peace. We're seeing a lot of crumbling at the same time, a lot of starting to build that new foundation. So they said in 2014, we're going to see the culmination of all that work. This is the year it's all going to start. But what's going to be the thing that gets it going? And they're saying it's basically the new financial system because, money makes the world go around. So when you underwrite a project with the finances to get it built, then something new develops. Like you can't build a building without money. So the new financial system, regardless of what we can say about it on a 3D level, the pitfalls in it, whatever, dark ultimately serves a light, and there's some dark in there, and there's some light in there, and it's going to underwrite this whole reset. So what you're going to see is people starting to come into money, light workers starting to come into money now that they've cleared away and let go of what they needed to. They've created space for the universe to bring that in. And if you've been following these messages, you know about anchoring your heart on earth. So a lot of people have moved their mailbox back to earth. So that, along with a lot of the funding that's going to go on, and I'm not going to get into that here, we're going to have whatever we need to underwrite creating this new reality. So 2014 is going to be the year. This is going to be the best year ever. Now let me kind of look down my list here. So some things that they were talking about in particular, we're going to see new vortexes open. And recently, there have been new ones. I don't know if they're like brand new or like they're just starting to come online. But they're also saying old vortexes are calibrating and changing. So I know there's, like for example, Sedona is a 4D vortex, but it's recalibrating and they were showing me that it was creating an additional ring, because they kind of go out for a space, and they said there's a new ring connected to Sedona that encompasses Prescott, Arizona, and it's going to be of a higher vibration than Sedona was. I don't know how much because they said that it's still in process. But then there's a new 5D vortex around Telluride. And it could be that these vortexes are already here, but maybe they're amping up a little bit. They said they were talking about, you'll have to read the written portion of the message to get all the places. But they're all along the northern tier of the United States, southern border of, southern tier of Canada. There's some down toward Mexico. And, some on the East Coast, some on the West Coast. And then in the middle of the country, there's a couple in the middle of the country. So they're saying these vortexes are going to become very, very active once they're calibrated, and they're going to literally draw people to them. And what you're going to see is people, they're showing me musical chairs. People are going to start leaving where they are. Like people in Sedona are feeling like they need to move on. They're moving up. They said many of us will be moving up. We'll be moving away from a vortex we've been around, and that was calibrated to where we were frequency-wise, and we're going to be moving to a new vortex at a higher level. So there's a lot of what they call graduations going on right now. Now there's a next part about this, and that is that as these vortexes draw the people around them, they create community. And years ago, I used to talk about galactic universities, and they kept talking about we're going to have galactic universities on Earth. Well, now what they're telling me, the Nibiruans are telling me, is that these universities are not going to look like a group of buildings on a campus. They're actually going to be the teachings of the people who come together to form these communities within these towns. So not everybody there is going to be, enlightened, but the teachings are going to be done by the teachers in small workshops or in home workshops or what. It's all going to be done, but it's going to be done in a more personalized way. So when you're drawn to a vortex, you will most likely be drawn to specific teachers or teachings or information that will be the education you need for the next step of your journey. Okay, so they call those vibrational, the communities they call like vibrational pods. In other words, the people who come and live in that vortex area who are of the same frequency, we kind of create a pod of people who vibrate at the same rate. So, okay, I don't want to go any further into that. Okay, and we talked about that. Okay, so the last thing they want to talk about was Nibiru's role, because a lot of people have been asking, well, where's Nibiru? Is it Ison, Comet Ison, and all this? What they're telling me is what they've told me before. They said 2 years ago when they said if Elenin comes through, Comet Elenin comes through and does virtually no damage, so will Nibiru. Because that tells us that we have earned a free ticket this time. We've done our work and we do not need a huge catalyst in our face wreaking havoc to get us to change. We're doing it internally instead of it having being done externally. So what they're saying is Nibiru is outbound, and it's completed its circuit. It's not going to be a problem. We're by September or by June, we should not hear much more about Nibiru. It is done and gone. That's the dog whining in the background. They always wake up when I'm ready to do a weekly message. Oh well. Anyway, so Nibiru's role in all this has been a catalyst for change, but in a different way than it has in the past when we had pole shifts. They said as they moved closer to the sun, their magnetic field put pressure on the sun until the sun kept burping these solar flares or CMEs toward Earth. But that energy was pro-evolutionary energy, and when it hit the grid, it hit all of us and all the way down to our cellular structure, and it basically was waking us up. And it has been supporting these changes that we're seeing happening now. So it has been a catalyst for change, but fortunately this time it was for us to do internal change rather than wreaking havoc externally. Now, Ison, which is a comet that always comes behind Nibiru, it's part of the Nibiru entourage. We're feeling that now, and that's part of the waves of weather that we're getting. But that is minor compared to what we could have gotten, which was a pole shift, which had happened 10,000 years ago or more. So I hope that helps you. What can we do to align with the new frequencies to where the money flows and you get everything you need? Continue emotional clearing. It never stops. The more you clear, the less you have to have the negative in your life. So I'm going to be doing the emotional clearing workshop by phone or Skype. I'm doing a special on it. So if you want to take advantage of it, it's 3 sessions done separately to work through anything that you need to. Boom, boom, boom. We can clear years in 1 hour. It's amazing. But anyway, that's it for today. Have a great New Year's, and I will see you next year. Bye-bye.